Hello and welcome. You're with IndiaPostLive.com, India's first live interactive web television, your very own platform where you can engage with us as we discuss our issues. You can join us live. You can leave your video comments. You can send us your posts. You can send us your tweets at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. So, well, the exit polls were not that off the mark. The BJP took a huge gamble by breaking away from the Shiv Sena in Maharashtra and contesting the elections alone, banking solely on the charisma and the magnetism of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who addressed rallies aggressively. And as we had discussed in our show last week, it was almost like he is the state party chief, the way he campaigned, and it paid off. 122 seats, just 22 short of the halfway mark in an assembly of 288. They only need 23 seats to claim to form the government. And what a huge victory it has been for the BJP in Maharashtra. In Haryana, the victory was even more stupendous because the party had never reached a double-digit figure in that state, and they are comfortably set to form the government with 47 seats. They won 47 seats out of 90 the seats that are there in the Haryana Assembly. So a very comfortable margin there as well. Remember, Narendra Modi again had campaigned both very important states. Mumbai, of course, the financial capital of India, and Gurgaon is developing as a tech city, a very important tech capital, in fact, one of the tech capitals of India. So we are going to discuss the results. We are going to try and figure out who is poised to be the chief ministers of both the states, and whether Maharashtra will go along with offers of alliances that have come in from both NCP as well as Shiv Sena. So to talk about all of that, we have with us online Sanjeev Singh ji. Sanjeev Singh is the co-convener of the IT cell of the BJP. Welcome.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for joining us. And we have Vinita Deshmukh, a journalist who joins us on Google Hangout. Thanks so much, ma'am, for joining us on IndiaPostLive.com. Thanks so much. All right. So first, we're going to start with Maharashtra, and then we'll go on to Haryana. And before we do that, let's bring you the final vote tally. Let's bring you some graphics for you, and after that, we can do analysis of that coming up on your screens. The final vote tally in Maharashtra, as I said, 122 for the BJP. The Shiv Sena was the second largest with 63. Congress was the third largest party with 42. NCP got 41. MNS is something we will definitely have to discuss. MNS won just one seat, 19 to the others. So there you see the BJP just short, falling about 22 short, not about, in fact exactly 22 short of the halfway mark of 144, and 23 short to form the government. Now, the moment after the results came, the NCP as well as the Shiv Sena have made overtures. We'll get into that, but right now let's take a look at the vote share and let's compare it with the 2009 elections. The green line that you see is 2009 and the yellow is 2014. You can see a huge difference there in as far as the BJP's vote share is concerned, 14.02 to 27.8. An increase for Shiv Sena as well. Of course, a fall for the Congress from 21 to 17.9, and also a slight loss to the NCP, a slight gain to the NCP from 16 to 17.3. But of course, the figure there shows a huge increase in vote share as far as the BJP is concerned. All right, now let's also take a look at the swing coming up next. Swing again, we are comparing 2009 and 2014. The green line indicates 2009. A huge swing there from 46 to 122. Shiv Sena gaining from 44 to 63. The Indian National Congress from 82 to 42. The NCP from 62 to 41. the MNS, Raj Thakre's MNS, from 13 to 1. Others from 41 to 19. So once again, a huge rise there for the BJP. Okay, so this is as far as the gain is concerned and the loss is concerned. You can see only the two parties, BJP and Shiv Sena, as we just told you, 79 up, BJP, Shiv Sena 19 up. Congress, like we said, 82 to 42, so that's 40 down, NCP 21 down, MNS from 13 to 1, 12 down, and others 22 down. So other than the BJP and the Shiv Sena, the other parties below the zero mark, other parties in the negative, BJP and Shiv Sena in the positive. All right. So these are the swings, these are the trends. Ma'am, Vinita Deshmukh, let me come to you first. A tremendous victory and a huge gamble that the BJP took, which seemed to pay off.
Yeah, actually, this gamble paid off for the BJP, particularly in urban constituencies
Right.
and where there was cosmopolitan neighborhoods. Like, for example, in Pune, all the 8 seats went to BJP, which had never happened before.
Yes.
And that is because when the BJP had allied with the Shiv Sena, the Koregaon Park, Kalyan Nagar, all these new IT hub residential neighborhoods were very wary of the style of functioning of the Shiv Sena. But when that got out of the way, BJP was the one that they decided upon. And hence we saw a spectacular victory for most of the candidates in all the 8 assembly constituencies in Pune. Similarly, we saw it in Bombay.
Yeah.
The urban areas were the best for the BJP in these assembly elections. However, we must also acknowledge the fact that Maharashtra did not blindly put faith in the BJP. You know, whether it is rural or the urban voters, they decided by the nature of the candidate in that particular area,
Right.
especially in rural areas and tribal areas. In tribal areas, the highest nota votes were put. In Gadchiroli, the nota came second after the BJP. So the Maharashtra did not blindly give a sweeping victory to BJP. However, wherever it thought, that is the urban areas, it favored the BJP and it has given a very intelligent mandate. It is like it has given the horse is with the BJP, but it has got the reins to itself. That's the picture of Maharashtra. So BJP should not be very proud. And let me tell you, BJP is mum and is keeping quiet about the NCP offer. And I'm getting several WhatsApp messages to say that if BJP tries to take Sharad Pawar's support, then definitely the next time they will not vote for the BJP. That has created a total anti-wave amongst the educated crowd because they wanted to throw away the NCP.
Yes.
And now the BJP is keeping mum when NCP put its offer forward. And as far as I know, Shiv Sena, I think, has not really put its offer forward and is waiting, and there are ego clashes there.
All right, all right. Let me ask Sanjeev Singh about that. Okay, so Vinita ma'am, a very interesting statement. The horse is with the BJP, but the reins are with the people.
Yes.
A very interesting statement there, of course. As we saw, Sanjeev ji, Pune, as ma'am said, the urban voters in Mumbai, 15 out of 36 went to the BJP. So the development plank once again seemed to have worked in BJP's favor. But what ma'am said, that it was an intelligent voting. It was not just blind voting. It was intelligent voting after 15 years of the Congress NCP rule. Your opening comments for me.
Vinita ji has nicely summed it up. And isn't it right, or rather good for a healthy democracy, that the reins stay with the voters? That's a great thing. It's a welcome change.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to to go by what Vinita ji's observation is. And now coming to that other thing, see, India is changing. India is rapidly urbanizing. The wisdom, the sagacity level of our electorate today is going up leaps and bounds, and we salute that. And this other fact, like in tribal areas, people thought of reposing faith in BJP, and wherever, I mean, people weren't enthused with our rivals. So wherever somebody was not in favor of BJP, they exercised
I
nota.
can't hear.
Not.
Your
Am I
voice,
audible?
your voice is slightly muffled. I had asked over here in the studio to increase the audio. Your voice is slightly
Yeah, I just
muffled.
can't hear what he's speaking.
You can't hear at all, Vinita ma'am?
Yeah, I can't hear Mr. Sanjeev Singh.
At all?
I can hear you.
You can't hear him at all?
No.
Okay. I'll tell you what he's saying. He's agreeing with what you said, basically. He's agreeing with what you said. Yeah. Sanjeev sir, go ahead. I'll just tell Vinita ma'am what you've spoken. Yeah. And we'll try and get that. We'll try and get that audio.
Anyway, so what I was saying was,
Yeah.
there is a maturity which is taking place. There is an increase in sagacity level of our voters.
Yeah.
And what of voters? Look at the exit pollsters. First time around in a multi-corner contest, where it's a virtual minefield
Yes.
for exit pollsters to predict it correctly. There is a clear closing of gap between exit polls and exit polls. So this is what I mean by when I say that India is changing, and BJP as a party is actually abreast of the changes which are happening. We are mindful of the changes which are happening, and that is the reason we are being reposed faith in by our voters.
All right. Okay, thanks for that, Vinita ma'am. Let me tell you what Sanjeev Singh said. He said that, it's a mature electorate now. The electorate understands what the real issues are, and the fact that India is changing, that itself has been reflected in these elections is basically what he's saying. Now, before I take your comments on that, I would let's show you an infographic of the big guns, the big losers and the big winners in these elections, and then we'll move forward. Coming up on your screen. Eknath Khadse, Pankaj Bhujbal, Sunil Prabhu, Abu Azmi. Okay, these are the big winners that you can see. Devendra Fadnavis, of course, Chhagan Bhujbal, Subhash Desai, a name who lost, Kripa Shankar Singh lost, Rajendra Darda of Aurangabad East lost, Vinod Tawade, Borivali won, BJP, Jayvant Parab lost, Nitin Sardesai, Mahim lost. Okay, these are some more coming up. Ajit Pawar won, Sada Sarvankar won, Pankaja Munde won, Vilas Patil lost, Bala Nandgaonkar lost, Radhakrishna Patil won, Amit Deshmukh won, Prithviraj Chauhan won, Harshvardhan Patil lost, Dhananjay Munde lost, Praniti Shinde won, Narayan Rane lost. Okay, so those were some of the big names that we brought for you on your screen, the big losers and winners. All right, ma'am, you talked of the Shiv Sena, the possible alliance, which we don't really know what the BJP is going to do. It will only decide, and the fact that it has, asked Mr. Rajnath Singh to take over and head the committee to take the decision. What do you think? What does that indicate? Are they going to be at least looking at the overtures?
No, I just think that the NCP and the BJP had a maha setting before the elections, because Babanrao Pachpute, who's the leader of NCP, first entered, biggest corrupt leader. He entered BJP, and because the Lotus, he suddenly became clean. And BJP went and imported, 40 odd candidates from other parties, mostly from NCP and mostly corrupt. And NCP and BJP decided that they will blackmail Shiv Sena so that the Shiv Sena will not demand too much, like 2.5 years of chief ministership or something like that. So this is the game that both these parties are playing. Sharad Pawar and Amit Shah, I presume, are the ringleaders in playing this game. And at the end of it, it is the voter who's getting cheated, because the voter wanted to oust NCP and therefore voted for BJP. And Mr. Sanjeev Singh needs to reply as to why BJP is mum for over 24 hours on NCP's demand, and why cannot it have issued a statement immediately that Modi, which said that NCP is a naturally corrupt party and we want to oust this 15 years of corrupt rule,
Okay.
why is it
Okay.
that they
Let
are
me-
very happy and sitting pretty?
Let me get Sanjeev Singh to respond to that. Sanjeev sir.
Vinitaji, are we required to respond the moment an offer comes to us? Did we seek that offer? NCP, as of its own volition, given a statement, they've offered unconditional outside support.
Yeah.
We have not replied. Our party is still seized of the matter, whether to take support or not. And so far as our, observation about NCP and the scandalous, the stamp-tainted 15 years of rule of NCP Congress coalition is concerned, that was made, absolutely clear by Narendra Bhai during his election speech. So do not worry, do not bother. We are one party which is mindful of our electorate's aspirations and their likes and dislikes. They will not, disappoint them. Do not bother about that.
All right. Vinita ma'am, did you hear that?
Sorry. No, I'm so sorry. You have to repeat because I can't hear him.
Okay, he's saying that, the fact that they have provided outside unconditional support does not mean, they have offered it, but that does not mean that we are accepting it. And Mr. Narendra Modi was very clear in his election speeches that the whole purpose is to oust the combine of Congress NCP. That is what he is saying. He's saying that we are mum, we haven't yet taken a decision, but it is quite... Probably, Sanjeev, sir, let me ask you this. The fact that, like I had just asked Vinita ma'am also, the fact that Mr. Rajnath Singh has been, nominated as an observer to oversee the election of the legislative party leader, is that an indication that the Shiv Sena could not be, maybe they are not ready to completely ignore the Shiv Sena? Could that be an indication of that?
We have shared, Shiv Sena has been our, the longest standing ally.
Yeah.
They are still part of NDA government. So who said that Shiv Sena has been written off? I mean, they are closest to us in terms of ideology and everything. So,
but you broke away. You took a huge gamble.
They fail to appreciate the changing dynamics of politics,
Yes.
specifically in Maharashtra. And that was the reason why that difference arose. And since they have been the longest standing ally, you never know. I mean, the moment they realize the changing aspirations, things may fall in place. Do not worry about it.
See, in the state, the BJP has so far, you said dynamics are changing. I completely agree with you. In the state, the BJP has so far had to play second fiddle to the Shiv Sena. And now, the dynamics are different, as you yourself said. You took a decision to break away a 25-year-old partnership and go it alone. Now, are you considering taking the Shiv Sena back? At least to get those numbers, and after 6 months,
All options are open.
Okay.
Our highest decision-making body is seized of the matter.
Okay.
The very fact that the outgoing National President Rajnath Singh ji
Yeah.
has been sent here to Maharashtra
Yes.
as an observer
Yes.
is an indication enough that we are considering all options, including getting Shiv Sena back. They are still part of NDA.
So all options are open, including
They are not
NCP?
come out of it.
Are all options open, including NCP?
See, if Shiv Sena is there with us, there is no
Then it's
question of
not
taking
saying
support
no.
from NCP. There is no question of taking support from NCP when Shiv Sena is there.
So if Shiv Sena is there, then no NCP. But it's still not clear. As Vinita ma'am was
I
saying.
can only say that we respect the verdict given by our electorate. We understand and appreciate their likes and dislikes. We
Right.
won't disappoint them.
All right. Let me move on. Vinita ma'am, let me just ask you this. We have to discuss a very surprising, another development. The MIM, Owaisi's MIM winning 2 seats. One in Aurangabad Central, Imtiaz Jalil, and the other in Mumbai, the other assembly seat. Tell us about that. What is your reading on that?
Before that, I just want to say that Mr. Sanjeev Singh said that all the options are open when Maharashtra has decided and voted first for BJP, then for Shiv Sena, then for Congress, and then for NCP.
Yeah.
So honestly, Maharashtra says the second is Shiv Sena, but like I said, BJP doesn't think so because they like to play this wonderful game of blackmailing, and that is so unfair. And Maharashtrians are very intelligent, and they'll teach them a lesson next time. Now, coming to your question about MIM,
MIM,
you
yeah.
know, this is a very, very interesting development in Maharashtra politics.
Yes.
Because all this time, Congress and NCP had played this Muslim card and they had developed a huge fraternity. Now, because thanks to the social media, thanks to the amazing awareness that is created through various television and print media, that this Muslim fraternity has come to know that this Congress NCP is, using them as a vote bank. And then they see BJP and Shiv Sena as a communal party.
Right.
So between the fuel and between the fire and the frying pan, they never had a choice. So they used to either vote for the so-called communal or the so-called secular. Then when with this MIM, suddenly, they found an identity. OIC is like the communal Muslim leader like any other Hindu fundamentalist leader that is being looked at. And they feel, and over the years, there is nothing that is done for the Muslim fraternity in terms of education or, in terms of jobs. So now they're looking at they suddenly found this new party which belongs to their fraternity, to their community, and they feel hopeful that at least somebody will stand for their problems and somebody will give them solutions. And especially we have seen in UP before the Lok Sabha elections, the communal fire burning, and believe me, the Muslim fraternity lives in fear, and this is their hope. And in Maharashtra, the innings has opened, and it is time for the big parties like BJP and everybody else to keep on alert and to the ear to the ground as to what they are doing with this communal divide.
All right, Sanjeev ji, let me quickly ask you before we move on to Haryana. Any insights into who's going to be the chief minister? Is it going to be Devendra Fadnavis, as most media are speculating?
Selecting a chief minister has never been a problem with us. We have got so many talented leaders in our Maharashtra unit, so it's not an issue at all. I mean, party will take its a correct decision at the right time. We haven't even staked our claim to form government as of now. The results have been out yesterday only, and as Vinita ji was saying, voters have fallen just a bit short by around 22 seats. So we have to work things out, and do not worry about it. There is no dispute, there is no conflict, there is no problem so far as selection of chief minister is concerned. Our mission is clear. We have to deliver governance. We have to take this state, which has been mired with scandalous and tainted governance for the last 15 years. We have to take this state out of that morass. We will deliver it.
What about Eknath Khadse? Because there could be some dissent there.
There is no dissent. There is no dissent. Whatever dissent comes out in media is a creation of media. So do not get bothered by that.
Yeah, blame the media, sir. Always. All right.
No,
Okay.
No, essentially the fight is between who will be the chief minister. Because if they take Shiv Sena's help, Uddhav Thackeray is going to demand his pound of flesh.
Of course.
And the BJP won't know what to do. Will it give them 2.5 years of chief minister? So the fight is basically who will head the state, who will get the prime ministerial berth, especially urban development department, where you can make a lot of money and have poor development. So everything goes around the power and the power of money.
The power of power and the power of money, but obviously one has to really figure out, the BJP has to figure out who will be an easier ally to deal with, whether it's going to be the Shiv Sena, whether it's going to be the NCP. And as you said, the people have voted very decisively against the NCP, so the Shiv Sena needs to take that into account. All right, let's move on to Haryana, ma'am. Let's move on to Haryana now. Before I talk to our guests, let's first bring you the vote tally, the final vote tally in Haryana. Like I just said, a simple majority, a first time for the for the BJP. Of course, it never won, more than it never won a double digit before. The maximum number of MLAs was 5, and what it has done this time is nothing short of miraculous. 47 out of 90. 47 out of 90, a simple majority there for the BJP in Haryana. All right, then we have the Congress, 15 down from 40. The huge loss to INLD plus, that's 20. In fact, there went the hopes of Chautala, taking oath from outside the Tihar jail. And the other parties, the tallies are over there. The BSP has just got 1. Independents have got 5. Okay, so that's Haryana for you. 47, a simple majority to the BJP. Let's take a look now at the vote share. Again, we're going to compare 2009 to 2014. The line in green is 2009. What a huge jump there for the BJP. 9 to 33. 9% to 33% vote share. A huge jump there. And let's now look at the swing again from 2009 to 2014. From 4 to 47 for the BJP, for the Congress from 40 to 15, for the INLD plus from 31 to 20, HJC 6 to 2, BSP remains at 1, and independents from 7 to 5. Of course, a huge jump there you see for the BJP. In terms of numbers, the only positive there, of course, is the BJP, like we said, from 4 to 47. The huge margin in terms of negative for the INC, the Congress from 40 to 15. INLD is at minus 11. BSP, it's retained 1, so BSP is at 0. Independents from 7 to 2, so that's minus 2. HJC again minus 4. So the only positive there is the BJP. So that is the swing we have. Okay, let me go across now to Vinita ma'am. What a decisive victory. Again, the Modi magic seems to have worked. He addressed, I think, 10 or 11 rallies in the state, and that completely worked, isn't it? Or was it an anti-incumbency that factored more? What would you say?
Yeah, actually, no, ma'am, I really don't know much about Haryana politics, to be very frank, because I've done deep study only in Maharashtra politics.
What is your reading as a political journalist?
Everywhere there is anti-incumbency. There is no choice for the people. It's, I wouldn't call it a Modi wave. It is not a Modi wave. It is just that everybody else is so incompetent and corrupt. And at least Modi has proved as a chief minister, his trips abroad, his Madison Square, his meeting with the NRIs, Obama, everywhere else, China, etc. That has really created a wave for him. But it is not so much because everybody is happy with what's happening in the country, but more because there is no leader worth his salt to actually put a vote to. And ma'am, can I just leave because I have a meeting at 2:30.
Thank you so much.
I was told,
Thank you so much, Vinita ma'am, for your insights on Maharashtra. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks so much. Bye. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. All right. I'm now joined by my colleague Vinayak. Vinayak is going to give us his perspective on Haryana. Hi, Vinayak. What do you have to say?
Yeah.
You were not as confident.
First of all, I would like to congratulate. Hello.
Go ahead.
First of all, I would like to congratulate Mr. Sanjeev Singh on the other side of the panel for that spectacular victory that BJP has just registered in Haryana. Yeah. I would just like to say that this is for the first time that non-Jat votes consolidated for a party.
Yes.
At least BJP should take it as an achievement for them. This was a mammoth task that only BJP could have accomplished, and they have done it. And the second thing, the Jat vote got divided.
Yeah.
Even the Sikh votes also got divided because of Akali Dal's bad image in Punjab that carry forward to Haryana, and Huda's formation of Haryana Shromani Gurdwara Committee. So even all other sections of the society which could have proved, contraceptive for BJP, they got divided in Inelo, in HJC, or in Congress.
All right. Sanjeev Singh,
So and for BJP, anybody, any Tom, Dick and Harry has won. I would not like to say it in that way, but seriously, the guys who haven't won an election in past 20 years, the guys who had lost their deposits in last to last elections, they have won with a massive margin.
absolutely.
See,
I mean,
this is
40,
really surprising. This is
43
something which is really surprising. The Modi,
from 4 to 47, that itself says it.
I guess, yeah, that itself says everything. I guess we cannot elaborate on
Yeah,
that.
there's no point in elaborating. Okay, Sanjeev Singh, the non-Jat people who voted decisively for the BJP, explain that for us, please.
It's not only that the non-Jats have voted for us decisively, Jats have voted for us. For that matter, every segment has voted for us. Why? Because aspiration levels are similar across various, caste or class constituents. It is more about, giving an effective and affirmative mandate to us, because we were one party who have, run our campaign on a positive plan. Apart from the negative history, the baggage which Huda government had, what we promised was development, positive governance, effective governance, and that has clicked across all segments. If you remember last time when also three results, I mentioned the same thing. These factors slowly but surely are ceasing to be a factor in Indian polity. The sooner other guys realize this, the better it will be for them. We have realized that, we know better.
All right. So you are again saying that, development, the whole fact that the electorate itself is changing, the mindset of the electorate itself is changing, has what led to the BJP's stupendous victory. All right. My next question, who is going to be the chief minister in according to your reading? Would it not be better? The reason I asked you about the non-Jat, and even Vinayak pointed it out, wouldn't it be better for you to have a non-Jat chief minister, since they have voted in such decisive numbers for you? For example, Manohar Lal Khattar's name has come, State President Ram Vilas Sharma, Union Ministers of State Indrajit Singh, Krishna Pal Gujar and Anil Vij. These are the names that have been doing the rounds. Your Jat, of course, the candidates would have Captain Abhimanyu and Om Prakash Dhankar. So who out of these people are you likely to see as the chief minister?
That decision will be taken by the newly elected MLA.
You have no inside story to break on IndiaPostLive.com, really? No story for us?
There are no stock market gains to be had if a person's name gets revealed. Do not worry about it. We have a healthy democracy.
Yeah.
We are a positive party.
Right.
We have a proper decision-making apparatus and process is there. Do not worry, there won't be any problem. And the person who will get projected as the chief minister will actually be someone who can be identified with the positive plans and campaign which we have done.
All right. Vinayak, let me just come to you now. You have been following, of course, the politics of the state. You remember on Friday's show, Anita Katyal was here in the studio and she said that the Congress is comatose. That was the word she had used. Now, I'm talking for both the states. Sanjeev Singh is of course smiling. But anyway, what I'm trying to ask you is, what exactly went wrong? We know, okay, a lot of factors, corruption issues, the Ajit Pawar, his involvement in the irrigation scam in Maharashtra and all of that. Even though the Chief Minister, Prithviraj Chauhan, was seen as clean, there was a lot of anti-incumbency, a lot of corruption allegations. What went wrong for the Congress and INLD in Haryana? For both these parties, what went wrong?
I guess the single largest factor was Mr. Bhupendra Singh Hooda himself.
Okay.
See, the Congress party never had a track record of a strong regional leader. See, when in 2009, when Hooda came to power for the second term, for the I would say for the consecutive term, he marginalized all the other players in the Congress.
Right.
So Rao Indrajit, Kumari Shelja, Birendra Singh, they were the guys who made him the chief minister for the first time because they didn't want Bhajan Lal to be there. So in 2009 when he came back to the power, he marginalized them. Birendra Singh and Rao Indrajit moved to the BJP. Shelja got marginalized. So while the ticket distribution for these legislative assembly elections also, it was Huda who called the shots. The state party chief Ashok Tawar, he had no say in ticket distribution. He expressed his resentment openly. So
and
first thing was
INLD?
that. Second thing, hello.
INLD, what happened to INLD? Chautala had said he would take oath from outside Tihar jail. A huge blow.
This is the worst performance by INLD since its formation.
Absolutely, yeah.
INLD has, for the first time, has got less than 24.5% votes. That hadn't happened in the past. And for the BJP, before the rise of BJP around 5 or 7 years ago, it was a Bhajan Lal who was an undisputed non-Jat leader. Kuldeep Bishnoi, his son, he came along with the BJP, helped them in gaining the Bishnois and OBC vote plank. Then BJP, when realized that they had got all what they could have from Bishnoi, they parted ways. So the BJP pitched in very, we can say, right candidates, good caste combinations. Even Chautala's also. Chautala's also they fielded non-Jat candidates in huge numbers for the first time. They fielded Punjabis, they fielded Baniyas, they fielded all others. But I guess everything fell short.
Again, the Modi magic.
When Modi wave was there, I guess.
Yes, exactly. That is what even Vinita ma'am said.
Exactly.
No leader worth his salt.
See, I guess we can see in that vote difference, in the vote margins.
Right.
Mr. Mukesh from Gurgaon, he has won with a margin of 84,000 votes. Haryana is a state where 40,000, 45,000, that used to be considered
huge
as
margin,
a landslide. But yeah, that was a huge. But this time there are at least 6 or 7 candidates who have won with a margin of at least 50,000 votes.
Great.
And 90% of them belongs to the BJP.
All right. Okay, Sanjeev
Even
Singh.
that, yeah.
Yeah, let me go across to him. I had asked you another question last time. I'm repeating that, with the numbers that you have got in these elections. Next, we are going to see Bihar and Jharkhand. You see yourself doing the same magic in 2015 as well?
We are very confident of it. Why? Because we are confident of the developmental plans, the governance plans, the probity plans.
So have you already started work on that? Have you already started work on the next round of state assembly elections?
It never stopped. It has been continuing since Lok Sabha election. We are doing, micro-analysis. We keep on getting feedback from our group level workers. So all that infrastructure is there, and all the data which gets emanated. That's what I mean when I say that we are different. We understand the changing dynamics of politics, and the very reason why we are able to understand that is that we have got a proper hierarchy, a proper network of workers right down to the remotest level, and with advance of technology, we are able to actually understand and communicate effectively with them. Both ways communication. So that is what actually gives us a better insight into the voters' mindset. And I'd like to make one more observation in lighter vein. We have had a tradition of respecting our damats, but you do not respect your damat at the cost of taxpayer. The damat has actually led to doom for Congress.
All right. Thank you so much. It's time now for us to wrap this conversation here. Please give us your views, your comments. Write in to us, write in your posts on indiapostlive.com. Send us your video comments. You can tweet us at #IndiaPostLive and @IndiaPostLive. Vinita ma'am was here with her insights on Maharashtra. I would like to thank her once again. Vinayak, thank you so much. And Mr. Sanjeev Singh, always a pleasure to have you with your insights on behalf of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Thank you so much. Congratulations on the win. And we will see you in our next show. Thank you so much. Thanks all of you for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.